Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we're not just looking at your standard news report, right? We're diving deep into a raw, real-life display of human psychology and civic action right on the streets of Bengaluru. We're going to break down a recent, super intense incident in Madanaya Kanahali. It is honestly a textbook case study in bystander intervention.
Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. What would you do if a violent crime erupted right in front of you? I mean, literally steps away. If a man suddenly attacks someone with a weapon on your daily commute, would you run away? Would you pull out your phone to hit record? Or would you actually rush in to help? Well, the people in our case study today, they didn't have time to sit and ponder. They just had to act. And that split-second decision is the entire focus of our explainer today.
Section 1. Broad daylight in Bengaluru. Let's look at how this ordinary day turned terrifying.
Okay, so it's May 6th. Look at this timeline. Seconds in, the attacker, Sanjay, rolls up on a scooter wearing a mask. Just seconds later, a sudden, completely unprovoked knife attack on his ex-wife. And then instantly, the terrified victim screams for her life. It's just absolute chaos happening literally in the blink of an eye.
Section 2. The brave bystander response. Let's shift our focus to the crowd.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between the threat and the response. Just look at this. On one hand, you have a premeditated threat, right? A solitary, masked attacker armed with a knife, 100% prepared for violence. But on the other side, a completely spontaneous solution. Alert locals who are unarmed, definitely not expecting trouble that day, but they operated with this incredible, overwhelming collective strength. It is a perfect illustration of the sheer power of a community stepping up when it counts.
But what actually triggered this response? The catalyst here was the victim's scream. It literally pierced right through all the heavy, chaotic noise of the main road. You know how loud those streets can be. That desperate cry for help wasn't just background noise. It was the ultimate wake-up call that shattered normal public apathy. It snapped everyone right out of that bystander effect we hear so much about, and instantly activated the local youths to jump in and intervene.
Section 3. Power of collective courage. Let's unpack how they actually pulled this off.
Now, looking at the footage, this wasn't just some random, chaotic brawl. It actually played out like a highly effective, structured rescue operation. First, they rushed to the screams, closing the distance in mere seconds. Second, they completely surround the attacker, cutting off any chance of escape or further harm. Third, and obviously the most dangerous part, they snatch the weapon. And finally, step 4, they hand him over to the police. Step by step, this crowd neutralized a deadly threat without a single moment of hesitation.
Now, during this whole sequence, the local crowd delivered what's locally known as Dharma Datu to Sanjay. As an objective explainer, it's really important we define this context. Dharma Datu is a local Kannada term referring to a public thrashing or beating delivered by a crowd. Here, it functioned as a spontaneous, immediate reaction to a heinous crime happening right in front of them. We're not endorsing vigilante justice, but it's a distinct sociological phenomenon that was definitely part of the sequence of events unfolding on that street.
But here is the most important part. Despite that initial burst of physical retaliation, the citizens completed the most vital step of a lawful intervention. They successfully restrained Sanjay and handed him directly over to the Madanaya Kanahali police station. Turning the suspect over to the proper authorities for formal investigation, that is exactly what ensures justice can actually run its legal course.
So what was the aftermath? Because of this lightning-fast action, the woman was miraculously saved from fatal harm. The police officially registered a case and began investigating the motive. Meanwhile, as you probably know, the CCTV footage of the entire incident went massively viral online. The whole internet conversation quickly shifted, with netizens universally praising the incredible time sense and the sheer, unadulterated bravery of the Bengaluru public. Really inspiring stuff.
Section 4. Lessons in civic action. Time for the real-world takeaways.
This incident leaves us with some absolutely crucial, practical takeaways if you ever find yourself in an emergency. First, act quickly to distress signals. Never, ever ignore a scream. Second, rely on strength in numbers to overwhelm a threat rather than trying to face it all by yourself. Third, prioritize disarming the attacker safely to neutralize the immediate physical danger. And finally, always involve law enforcement immediately. Guys, these 4 actions can literally save a life when every single second counts.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought. How can we cultivate this kind of spontaneous, life-saving civic courage in our own neighborhoods? Think about it. Look out for each other, stay safe, and thanks for joining me for today's explainer.